Protector's Enclave needs your help.
Elminster recently discovered a cell of cultist activity here in Protector's Enclave. We managed to flush them out, but the situation is far more dire than we anticipated. The Cult of the Dragon has unearthed an ancient Netherese device in the Sword Mountains, something known as a Mythalar. Elminster believes this device could provide the cult with enough power to turn their mad prophecy into a reality. The factions of Faerun may not always see eye to eye, but we've seen what the cult is capable of. We've agreed to come together and mobilize under Elminster's charge. Join us in the Dragonbone Vale and speak with Elminster, adventurer. We're going to need all the help we can get.
Waiting for this.
Good to see you, my friend. Were circumstances not so dire, I'd request you indulge me in some idle banter. Another familiar face come to join our efforts in the Dragonbone Vale, I see. I trust the journey wasn't too rough on you. My old friend Traxia was kind enough to lend me a ride through the worst of it. The terrain in this part of the Sword Mountains is utter treachery. It's no wonder we lost track of the cult, but that's neither here nor there. Let me know when you're settled in. We have a great deal of work ahead of us. Yes. Where were we? This encampment is the center of operations for our grand alliance between the factions of Faerun. We're calling it the Shield of the North. And believe me, it was quite a feat getting the lot of them to agree on anything, much less a name. But I digress. You'll find some familiar faces here. Zuna is overseeing the supply routes for the factions. Traxia is standing right here next to me, and Kuvatos is brooding somewhere, per usual. He's researching a troubling phenomenon called Dragonsight. A tad obsessed, if you ask me. Go on, take a look around, and let people know you're here to help. Now, what little we know of the Dragonbone Vale comes from Traxia. Ridges divide this region into 4 distinct neighborhoods. Etrien has taken the Emerald Enclave into the wooded area aptly named Whetstone Thicket. Sergeant Knox and the Lord's Alliance have set up camp amidst the crags and dwarven ruins of Quellwater Tarn. The Order of the Gauntlet can be found with Celeste in Wormbone Marrows, a rocky landscape carpeted with dragon remains. Beyond those neighborhoods lies a ruinous expanse surrounded by an expanding wall of corruption, the Scaleblight Summit. That's where the cult is feeding energy to the Mythalar. While the Harpers and I plan our attack, you should locate each of these factions and make them aware of your presence.
A warm welcome to you, friend of Elminster. It is indeed I, Traxia, the dragon who assisted Elminster in his investigations of the Weave. We are up against the cult, so I've assumed a more compact form. Hopefully it will reduce shock amongst newcomers who join us. My investment here is personal. The cult has been spreading corruption through the caverns that run beneath the Dragonbone Vale. I also have reason to believe they've done something to my mate, Etrien. Please do let me know if you find details of my beloved's whereabouts. Etrien, my beloved, what have the cultists done to you?
The very idea of existing in multiple places at once is staggering. The implications, even more so. Let's get right to it, shall we? When we mobilized the Shield of the North, Harper scouts observed a number of unusual devices that tap into a strange phenomenon called dragon sight. Naturally, I volunteered to research them on the Protector's behalf. Our findings have been fascinating, but traversing this terrain has been a challenge. Speaking of that, I have requested our smithy put together something special for you. Is there anything else you wish to discuss?
Harper scouts found a number of strange devices scattered across the Vale that tap into something
Gauntlet
calls dragon sight. These artifacts are clearly assembled from draconic remains, which we assume were taken from worm bone marrows. Anyone who touches one of these bizarre objects is able to see the location of hidden dragon treasure. That so-called dragon sight is the very phenomenon that I'm here to research. The look on your face says you don't believe me. Very well, I'll prove it to you then. Travel into the Vale, locate one of these artifacts, and touch it. Our nearby treasure will be illuminated by dragon sight. Gather whatever you find and bring it back to me.
Thanks to the Lord's Alliance, we have a number of skilled blacksmiths at our beck and call. Amongst the most talented is Sergeant Knox's personal smith, Patrick Pogestone, whom I've commissioned to build something special for you. The order should be ready by now, so make sure you speak with him before leaving the camp.
We must keep these supply lines moving. The Shield of the North is depending on us. Well met, adventurer. The Cult of the Dragon is using devices they call malignant conduits to spread corruption throughout the Dragonbone Vale. According to Elminster, this corruption is parasitic in nature. It chokes out ambient life and feeds energy back into the Mythalar. That's where you come in. I need adventurers like you to escort shipments to each of the faction outposts, and then assist the factions in fending off the corruption in their respective areas. When you're ready, I'll explain in finer detail. What can I do for you? Now that you're settled in, it's time to start running supplies. Deliveries are simple enough, but the trails are harrowing. I'll break down how it works. My team procures cleansing foci and divvies them up between the factions. From there, our supply runners load their carts and drive to their respective camps. After a short stop at their camps, they deliver the artifacts to the front lines. Your job is to locate any of the 3 supply runners, follow them along their delivery path, and then help them get to the front lines. The Shield of the North has 3 factions watching over the neighborhoods of the Dragonbone Vale: the Emerald Enclave, the Lord's Alliance, and the Order of the Gauntlet. These factions have been given permission to incentivize adventurers such as yourself of their own accord. Should you pledge your aid to one of these 3 groups and work to increase your standing, there will be rewards in it for you. To which faction do you wish to pledge your aid? I'll make sure your deeds are properly recorded for the faction of your choice. Be aware that these pledges are campaign agreements. They are not permanent allegiances, so you can change your pledge at any given time. If you desire to do so in the future, all you need to do is let me know. The Shield of the North has made great progress against the cult, but we must bolster these efforts. The factions have requested that their respective pledges venture out and assist them in exchange for increased rewards. Well, what are you waiting for, hero? Get out there and make a name for yourself.
I see you've made your presence known to the crew overseeing operations here. Good! We have much to accomplish and precious little time to do so.
So many requisitions, so little time. That's my name. Who's asking? Wait a moment. You're the hero of Neverwinter. I knew Kavatos was hiding something. Ah, forgive my excitement. I've heard countless tales of your exploits. I guess you could say I'm a fan. But that's enough rambling from me. Here's the grappling hook that Kavatos had me forge for you. I don't know what magic he imbued the materials with, but it's unlike anything I've crafted before. Tell you what, I left some tools out on top of that watchtower over there. Why don't you test the grappling hook out and grab them for me? You'll see what I'm talking about. Do you like it? As I said, Kavatos cast some sort of spell on the materials. The rope stretches in ways that defy physics, and the hook never misses its target. I call it the grappling hook of reaching. May not be a particularly clever name, but naming things isn't exactly my forte. There I go, rambling again. Be safe out there.
The air here smells so... well, it just smells. The hero of Neverwinter. Fancy meeting you all the way up here. Your arrival gives me some hope. As I'm sure you've observed by now, Whetstone Thicket is alarmingly void of wildlife. I imagine we have the blasted cultists and their drakes to thank for that. Oh, I get angry just thinking about it. Anyway, the Emerald Enclave and I are hard at work, keeping the corruption at bay and growing medicinal herbs for our newfound collective. Any assistance you might offer will be well received. What else do you have? Cultists are placing artifacts that spread the Mythalar's foul corruption throughout the thicket. We're helping the Order of the Gauntlet change the orientation of these so-called malignant conduits. But we require a large number for research. Travel into the thicket and bring a few malignant conduits back to me. I'll make sure it's worth your while. The Mythalar's corruption is leaching into the soil and blighting the land. If we don't act quickly, we risk losing the thicket. I've blessed a small stone with healing energy for you. Use it to expel the corruption and heal any spots of blighted land you find. Once you've completed the task, bring the stone back to me.
Dragon soul now!
Let me have the malignant conduits you gathered, and... ugh! The corrupt energy is literally dripping from the things. Into the containment field with a lot of them. Alright then. Here's your reward as agreed. We have a long road ahead of us, but the woodlands appear to be doing a little better. I'd certainly say you've earned your reward. Go on, take it!
According to Gauntlet, ancient dragons who exhibit dragon sight can communicate with echoes of themselves across multiple planes of existence. I thought her ramblings were nonsense until I interacted with one of these bizarre items myself. Upon touching a dragon sight artifact, my head filled with voices that insisted I seek out and collect a nearby dragon treasure. Once I gathered the treasure, the voices were gone.
It seems you have experienced quite the same thing as I.
Each time you interact with a dragon sight artifact, you're aiding me in my research. How's that? Simple. I'm observing changes in the Vale's ambient energy as people interact with them. My hope is that I'll observe something useful in this fight against the cult. That's enough idle chatter for now. Go find yourself some dragon treasure and leave me to my research. Each time an individual interacts with a dragon sight artifact, I observe harmless energy distortions that exhibit strange similarities to the Mythalar's corruption. This research could turn the tide for us, but I need your help. Travel into the Vale, use dragon sight artifacts to obtain some dragon treasures, and then return to me when you're done.
Stand strong. We must remain vigilant. The Lord's Alliance welcomes you to Quellwater Tarn, old friend. Gauntlet tells us this place was once home to the great dwarven civilizations of Keldagon. The ravages of time have long claimed their legacy, but what remains has served us just fine so far. The area is fortified, and we stand ready to defend our operations. I'm proud of what we've achieved thus far, but the cultists are up to something in the ruins of Keldagon. We're not sure what it is just yet, but it's more than a simple spread of the corruption. There's plenty of work ahead of us. What do you need, adventurer? Work to be done, adventurer. We're holding the front lines, but we could use assistance on the offensive. Defeat some cultists in the Quellwater Tarn for us, and I'll see to it that you're duly compensated. No war goes without losses, and our campaign here is no exception to the rule. It falls on me to ensure that our fallen are paid proper respects. Please, collect banners from slain Alliance soldiers in the field, and I'll get the proper ceremonies in order. Sometimes the best defense is a strong offense. Great job helping us in the Tarn today. Thank you for gathering those banners. They will be used to commemorate the fallen who carried them. Dragon Fang reinforcements have arrived in Quellwater Tarn. These high-ranking cultists are fanatical to a fault and extremely dangerous. They will sow chaos for the Lord's Alliance should they go unchecked. Lower the number of Dragon Fangs in the area, and I'll tap into Lord Neverwinter's reserves for you. Glad you're here, adventurer. The Lord's Alliance is in urgent need of assistance. Cultists ambushed our supply runner's wagon today. The driver escaped relatively unscathed, but their shipment was scattered. I need you to help us find and recover those lost supplies. They're invaluable to our fight against the corruption.
I never expected to see a Mythalar in my lifetime. Be mindful where you step in Wormbone Marrow's friend. There is more at play here than we expected. Thayans recently emerged from Scaleblight Summit. Yes, I said Thayans. They're scouring the area for resources and creating malignant conduits, artifacts that spread the Mythalar's foul corruption. The Order of the Gauntlet and I are focused on keeping our collective alive and repurposing these strange artifacts. With enough radiant energy, they should be capable of cleansing the corruption. May Salune's light guide us all. The Order of the Gauntlet stands ready. Thayans are exhuming draconic remains and dragging them to Scaleblight Summit for use in their malignant artifacts. I have a plan to slow them down, but it will require your aid. Go to their quarry and obtain a number of their tools for me. You'll have to do so by force, so be on your toes. Our clerics are massively overwhelmed by the amount of Thayans arriving from Scaleblight Summit. It is stalling our efforts to fend off the corruption. If you've got any fight in you, I could make use of it. Reduce Thayan forces in the Marrows, and the Order shall reward you.
Yeah, all packed up and ready to move. Let's roll out, eh? Don't just stand there. The wagon's stuck.
I never expected to see a Mythalar in my lifetime. You brought back more tools than I expected. This will surely slow down the Thayan excavation efforts. Your help is a blessing as always. The Order of the Gauntlet stands ready. We've got a little breathing room now that you trimmed the Thayan's forces down to size. In thanks, I've procured a little something from the Order's coffers. Please, take it. Lune's light shine upon you, adventurer. The Mythalar's corruption has altered the remains that litter the Wormbone Marrows. You must understand the changes caused by this magic. Otherwise, our clerics are working blindly. Could we depend on you to gather some draconic samples for us? It would help us immensely. A contingent of our clerics ventured into the Wormbone Marrows to place cleansing foci, but they were intercepted. They're being held captive by the Thayans. The Order cannot afford to lose any more of our clerics. Please, adventurer, you must save them for us.
The very idea of existing in multiple places at once is staggering. The implications, even more so. Great work! The distortions corroborate my theories thus far, but I'll likely need to conduct more research. Keep whatever dragon treasures you found. Just make sure you check in with me next week. Is there anything else you wish to discuss?
We must keep these supply lines moving. The Shield of the North is depending on us. Getting the hang of how our supply runs work? Good. Keep an eye out for supply runners in the neighborhoods, and check in with me on occasion. Lord Neverwinter has provided us with plenty of currency, so you can rest assured it will be worth your time. What can I do for you? The Shield of the North is making progress on the front lines, but our forces are running low on cleansing foci. We need adventurers like you to help our supply runners make deliveries and push back the corruption. Think you're up to the task? I'll make sure your pockets are properly lined.
Minster.
Ah! Hero of Neverwinter. Come then, let us talk. The Thayans have set up camp in Wormbone Marrows. Well, I expect Valindra and their ilk can't be too far behind them. I'd better get to planning then. Carry on, and help the factions. Your help may be the very thing that turns the tables in our favor. Yes. Where were we? The cult's schemes are already in motion, so we must plan accordingly. Fortunately for us, I have deployed 5 of the Harper's finest scouts to gather information for us. I did advise them not to communicate their findings via magic. A necessary precaution given the Thayan presence in the Marrows. I'll need you to travel into the neighborhoods and gather their reports for me. Let me detail the locations for you, and you can be on your way.
I wonder what this place was like before the cult desecrated it. I've overheard multiple discussions between the cultists, all of which revolve around the devices they've been placing about the Vale. You know those corrupted orbs of energy suspended in metal rings? I'm referring to those. They call them malignant conduits. My understanding is that these artifacts drain energy from the surrounding area and feed it back to whatever they have beyond that purple wall. In their eyes, the land here in Whetstone Thicket is nothing more than fuel for their twisted machinations.
So many ruins in the tarn. What happened to the dwarves? Based on my observations, the cult's offensive against the Lord's Alliance here is nothing more than a distraction. There's a network of abandoned caves that runs beneath the Dragonbone Vale, the entrance to which is here in Quellwater Tarn. I'm not sure what the cultists are doing in those caves, but it can't be good. As if things couldn't get stranger, I saw a lich arrive on the back of a bronze dragon just this morning. I tried to get closer so I could identify them, but no such luck. I narrowly escaped with my life.
The dragon bones have become brittle under the Mythalar's influence. Be careful where you step. The Thayans are here in Wormbone Barrows, as I'm sure you've seen by now. They came here through the wall of corrupted energy that cuts off the entrance to Scale Blight Summit. You should have seen it. They walked straight through the barrier. I can't even get close to that thing without being overcome by dread. Anyway, they're mining crystallized dragon bones and lugging them back through the barrier. They must be using it to power the Mythalar or build artifacts. I honestly can't tell you without reaching the summit myself.
Good to see you, my friend. Were circumstances not so dire, I'd request you indulge me in some idle banter. Thank you for gathering these reports for me, old friend. Sergeant Knox had already informed me of Severin's descent into the caves beneath Quellwater Tarn, but these new details paint a much darker picture. We know Severin is capable of terrible things on his own, but if he's following someone's lead, well, that leader is likely none other than Valindra. I imagine Traxia is beside herself, knowing that a bronze dragon accompanied them. We'll need to investigate the Scale Rod Caverns and find some sort of confirmation.
We must keep these supply lines moving. The Shield of the North is depending on us. Amazing work! The supply runners returned to our camp with nary a scratch. You've definitely earned your reward today. Until next time, adventurer. What can I do for you? What can I say? Great work as always. I'll report back to your pledged faction with a record of your deeds. Take this reward, and I'll see you soon.